So right now we're at the sunflower patch. And yesterday we had probably the deer come through and do some nibbling, deadheading a third of this row. And I'm confident they'll come back because that happened last year also. And they also hit my strawberry bed. Not that I was expecting any fruit from this year, but I certainly am not a fan of them eating up all the leaves. So I thought, all right, I gotta do something about protecting this area. Maybe set up a line with some little flags waving around. So I had my husband pounding the steaks yesterday, and I thought, they don't come every day. I got another day or two before I need to worry about it. And lo and behold, came back last night and took out the bottom third of most of the sunflowers. They left a few here and there. So nice of them. Today I'm going to be starting like an in-depth bed-by-bed analysis of everything I've got around here throughout the summer, and then show you, anything else that might come up as I'm doing today. This bed we're here is the primarily tomatoes, garlic, and tomatillos are in this bed. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on it and, what I've put in the bed and why. So this is the bed. This is one of the first beds I ever created. It's right next to the house, which I felt was a good place because then the deer would stay away from it, which has worked so far. What I didn't account for was the squirrels and chipmunks who could care less. But in the first year, I had primarily tomatoes, cucumber, and pumpkins in this bed. And that worked out as well as could be expected. So then this year, I decided that the garlic was going to take up residence on the ends of the beds. They grew through the winter, and they deter pests because of the smell, supposedly. So the garlic I got from Fruition Seeds, and I got the music and the German. I'm not sure which is which. I know I did half to the right. I think it's music, and to the left is German, and same thing on the other side of the bed. Now, I read that yarrow is a good companion plant for garlic. But honestly, being that the garlic is like a month away from being pulled up and the yarrow still hasn't flowered, I'm not really sure how that works. I'm not sure if yarrow is a perennial. I'll have to look into that. And maybe next year it will be beneficial. And technically you should rotate plants, but on a small scale like this, I don't think I'm going to be doing too much rotating. I will eventually, as I gain more space, make more beds. But I foresee that I will be putting garlic in again in the same spaces here and topping off the soil, making sure they're fed and have lots of nutrients. Now I made a notes so I didn't forget anything. The garlic I had planted in October, starting the first week, because I didn't know when our frost was going to hit. And it actually hit later than expected. So the first side over there got the first week planted, and then the first half of this second week, and the back half was the third week. because I didn't want to end up having to harvest all at once and being inundated. Not that this is a lot of garlic, but that was the idea, that you would stagger the harvest so that you wouldn't feel overwhelmed. Now the tomatoes, I grew several varieties in the basement. And honestly, I didn't think I would be planting them all out, but it's really hard to kill plants you spent months, bringing up. So they're all here. I figure the squirrels and chipmunks are definitely going to take out a bunch of the fruit that I get. So this way, the more the merrier. And definitely Marigold is touted to be a great companion for tomatoes. So here we are. These were seeded directly. So there's no flowers yet, but soon. These have grown up pretty well. Uh-oh. I guess we got some wind, and I'm starting to need to stake some of these or weave them in the panels a little bit better. And they might start breaking. So let's see what we have here. This is the heirloom German striped. This was purchased at a nursery, striped German. So I don't have a picture to show you of that one. And then next door is the Aunt Ruby's German green tomatoes. We'll be expecting. And then next to that, let's see, where's the label? Is the San Marzano, which I believe is a paste tomato, good for sauces, ketchups. And then I have one, Paul Robeson, such a pretty one, but germination was really poor, and I only got one stem there. Next to that is the Rutgers. Should be good. And then beyond that are several kinds of cherry tomatoes. So along the border are marigolds, and they really germinate very different rates. Like these three, maybe because they were close together, growing. Oh, here's a volunteer tomato. And these are tinier for sure. And then in this container, last year I had some basil in it. This year I threw some basil seeds in there, but not seeing anything germinating right now. This is some kind of weed that I'm letting grow just because I'm okay with that. So here we have several of those cherry tomatoes. We should be getting fruit from those relatively soon. Now, being that there were tomatoes here last year and the squirrels and chipmunks made a mess of everything, we have several volunteers. This was the first one to come up. And if you can't tell, I'd say this is a foot or less tall, whereas things that I seeded and transplanted are twice the size. And then we got more volunteers that are coming up, and they're still, 4 or 5 inches tall. So you can see that if I had just seeded this bed and let Mother Nature take its course, I would be weeks behind on harvesting any tomatoes in this part of the country. Although we've got fruiting, flowering going on, so that's nice. But yeah, it's not ideal conditions to just let things go if you want, an earlier and more fruitful harvest. And then on this end we have the tomatillo, just called a purple. And they don't really have a good picture. It's a very generic picture they have there. And certain seed packets really like lack basic information. They expect you to go to the online and get your resources there. But you know, when I'm out in the field, I have seed packets in my hand. I want to be able to read the information right there and then. So if you watch a few videos back, these were really torn up by the beetles. And they were half the size, but they bounced back. So you don't give up on your plants. They will bounce back, and they're all nice, tall, healthy greens, flowering. So we should have a nice harvest of tomatillos here. And now also a few weeks back, I transplanted my asparagus, and I did not have enough space in the area that I thought they were going to go in. So they are in a few different places, one of them being here. I don't know if this is the best place for them. I may replant them in the future, or it's not that many in here, maybe a dozen along the line. So I might let them go. I mean, they don't take up that much space. I'll just have to reconsider where I put the tomatoes next year or anything else that ends up in this bed. This is a good space for things that climb up, like beans maybe. I have cucumbers over in the back, which we are going to get to in just a few seconds. So these giant things, this one's at least 4.5 feet tall, are the dill. This is the Mammoth Long Island. Nope, this is the, according to my sign there, it's the bouquet dill. Let's see. Is this the one that grows up to several feet tall? Yeah, maybe. This is the bouquet dill. This one is super tall. You can see it's time to harvest. I'll be freezing that because I'll be waiting for the cucumber that it's going to go with. And the cucumber, another plant that's struggling is the cucumber. Although this is some kind of leaf burn, we had a cold spell Memorial weekend, and then perhaps a spray that I used was too strong. So we got some issues, but it's regrowing. We've got green, and then I'm trying to prevent any cabbage, what is it? Like some kind of worm that will chew into the stem and eat it from the inside out. And I know you can still get a harvest even when they're in there, but it's not pretty and it's not particularly great. So I've tried to wrap them with collars. And then I dropped some seeds in directly, and I hope that's one. It took a really long time to germinate. And then this is just a slicing cucumber. I've also wrapped the stems. This one I didn't get to wrapping. I had a different idea on this one, just like a hard plastic collar, but it's coming apart, so I'm gonna have to revisit that. But yeah, I got some leaf damage from either cold burn or chemical burn, but the new leaves are looking strong and healthy. So those pickles are, the slicing one is Market More, and the pickling one is called Homemade. And I'll show you on the other side. Let's see, last is the Long Island. The Long Island dill doesn't get as tall. on this side. These are a little bit scragglier. They had a harder time with the transplant. And I also put in a few borage plants. These get huge, so this might have been a mistake. But they're nice flowers. Maybe if I keep them trimmed, they should do okay here. Oh, looky. Can we get a focus? Come on. Look at the beautiful moth. Look at that beautiful caterpillar. And I'm sure that will be a nice moth. And it's not one I'm worried about being an infestation, because there's only one. Now here's another one, a different one. Can you see it? Where is it? Boy, being a wildlife photographer is no easy task. So this is one of the other caterpillars on this. Well, that does it for today's mini tour of Plot A, we'll call it. We'll go around the property in a counterclockwise direction. Those are the more established beds. And then by the time we get to the melon patch at the end of the series, we hopefully will have something to show for it, some fruit. All right, wherever you are in the world, I hope you are well and having a nice day. And I'll be talking to you all real soon. Bye. But today, we're not playing around. We're gonna put up whatever structures we can find in the garage. And we are gonna try to save as much of the sunflowers as we can. So thanks to a little hoarding problem, we ended up with this, I don't know if it's for tennis or some other game of sorts. So we've had this for like over a decade, just moving around the garage, the basement, and we brought it from our old house to this new house, and I think it's finally found its purpose. It's not the prettiest thing, but if it keeps those dang deer from eating the rest of my sunflowers, particularly the ones in the forefront, those were the most established, the ones I grew from seed, the ones that I want to eat out of, I really want to save those. So if I could do that with this monstrosity, then so be it. We'll have to wait and see how my husband thinks it's best to configure this. It's not long enough to make a line down the driveway, nor is it sensible, because the driveway is in a curve there. So I might just wrap it around these first few sunflowers that I've really trying to save. So it would cover like up to here probably and go all the way around.